Hello my friends, Sylvie Curry again here in my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making soup. It's a soup that I'm not sure why my hubby decided he wanted it, but he came home with celery, 2 big stalks of celery, and he says, I want some celery soup. And I thought, okay, celery soup, I can handle that. So guess what? Today we're making celery soup, a nice homemade soup for a cold wintry day. Here we go. These are some of the ingredients that we're going to be using to make this celery soup. Now I did a little bit of research looking at varying recipes, and the ingredients vary depending upon what your tastes are. You make this your soup. The basic component of it is the celery. And here I have celery cut up, roughly chopped. And this is the equivalent of about a stalk about this size with the bottom cut off. I've got 4 Yukon Gold potatoes, which I'm going to be cubing. I have them in water now just to keep them from getting brown. We've got parsley, fresh parsley, and that's primarily for color, because we want this to be as green a color soup as we can get it. I've also got some of the celery leaves, which in the end I'm going to be using as a garnish. We've got 1 bay leaf, and pay special attention to this bay leaf because when we do the blending of the soup, we don't want to blend the bay leaf in there. We'll take it out at the end. We've got 6 cloves of garlic. These are about medium cloves, which are roughly chopped. I'm going to be using jalapeno. This is 1 medium-sized jalapeno, just roughly chopped, no seeds, and I try to take as much of the membrane out as possible. I've got onions. This is a medium to large onion, roughly chopped. I've got dried dill, and the only reason I have dried dill is because I didn't have any fresh dill. It would have been preferable to have fresh dill so we have more green color. I've got chicken broth, and this is a better than bouillon mixed with water, and I've got 5 cups of water in there with about 1.5 tablespoons of better than bouillon. Salt and pepper to taste, and as we go through and make this, we'll see what happens with it. Let me also add that in a lot of the recipes that I looked at, quite a few of them were for a creamy celery soup. And in that case, varying things are used to make it creamy. Dairy products being the primary one. And I've even seen a couple of recipes which are more vegan oriented, where they've taken beans such as cannelloni beans, cooked them up, and then mashed them and added it to the soup to add another layer of creaminess. Hopefully my creamy is going to be coming from more of the potatoes, and that should be enough for this recipe for me today. As I mentioned before, you do you if you want something different. This is me. Let's go on and take this baby over to the stove and do some cooking. In my pot, I have 2 tablespoons of clarified butter. You could also use olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever oil of your choice. I'm going to be sauteing the onions to start. We want to saute these to not necessarily a brown, but just to get them translucent. If you want a more intense flavor from these onions, you could cook them till they're brown, and it gives them like a nutty type taste to them. But I'm going to leave these translucent for this particular recipe. And we'll let that cook. It's going to take maybe about 4 or 5 minutes to get it to the point that I want it. My onions have been simmering for a little bit. Now I'm going to add my garlic. And I'm going to take this maybe 1 to 2 minutes to get that cooking in there, just to get some of the rawness out of it. Got my celery, and it goes. Along with my potatoes. Bay leaf, jalapeno. And we're going to save that parsley for the end, as I mentioned before, because that parsley is going to give it a nice vibrant color. Here we go with the chicken broth. Let's get that bay leaf down in there. This is going to cook up for about 10-15 minutes. Then we'll come back and check it. Our goal now is to wilt all the vegetables and to get the potatoes tender. I'm also going to add the teaspoon of salt and pepper, a half a teaspoon of pepper. Let's just get that mixed in there. And this is going to cook down so that everything is going to be under liquid in a little bit. Let's cover it and let it do its thing. We're into about 5 minutes into this cook, and I decided, this is a decision I made, to add the dill now. And the primary reason for that being that it's dried and there's not a lot of color to it that I want to protect. So I'll just put it in now, and then hopefully it will rehydrate. Had this been fresh dill, I would have waited to the end to add it with the parsley. And we'll just let that simmer on away until we get tender. And you can see here how a lot of that liquid now covers everything in the pot. Testing my potatoes, and they're tender, which means this baby is ready to be blended. I'm going to step on over to the counter and get this immersion blender a-working. I'm going to add the parsley. And let that wilt some down in there. It doesn't have to cook a lot, we just want it to wilt. And hopefully the color will maintain, so we'll have that vibrant green. My celery soup is now ready to meet up with the immersion blender. And let's hope that this baby is strong enough to puree this into a nice creamy soup. I just thought, as an FYI, I did take the bay leaf out there. I did a little taste test, and I know that it needs a bit more salt. So I'm going to add maybe about, I'm going to put a teaspoon in there. Let's do another tasting. I think we're right on with that. We've got celery soup ready for dinner. To top this off, you could also, say, put a dollop of sour cream on it, and that would add a nice level of flavor. You may even want to put a couple little drops of lemon in it, and that'll give a boost to the acidity. It's a very good soup, great for a cold winter day.